right, welcome to today's episode of Your Daily Scrum. I'm Professional Scrum Trainer Ryan Ripley. That is Professional Scrum Trainer Todd Miller. We get together each and every day to help you get a little bit better at Scrum each and every day. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Check out the description for more info about Todd and I, our book, our free Scrum 101 online course. You're looking to get your PSM I or some kind of certification, and you're super busy and you want to get through the courses quickly. Hey, binge watch that playlist. It's for free. It's in the show notes. Scrum 101. Level yourself up. All right, Todd, how we doing today?
Doing pretty good, Ryan.
I almost forgot about our community. Community.agilefreedmans.com. All right, that's enough of that stuff. Today's question, Mr. Miller, when do you remove someone from a Scrum team? What do you think?
What vantage point do you think we should discuss this from? As a developer on the team, a Scrum Master on the team, a product owner on the team?
Let's go from developer and see what happens. If we're both developers on a team and there's a third person that, maybe it's time for that third person to move on. What has that looked like in the past for you?
I think I've actually been this person before, Ryan.
The person that got removed, or the one that needed to do the removing?
I think I was both, and I think I was somebody that maybe was just kind of hanging in a little bit, trying to contribute where I could, and it just didn't seem like I was a key contributor anymore to the team.
I've been in that spot. Doesn't that just feel really awkward?
It does.
It's almost like you don't get the inside jokes anymore. You're kind of disconnected. And it feels like when you're talking, everything's just a disruption. Mm-hmm. You ever get that?
Yeah, you kind of feel like outside looking in. And that's what I'm thinking of a situation before where I was a coder on a project and I was moving into something else. I was moving into another project or product development effort and was just still kind of hanging in there a little bit. And
hanging around. Mm-hmm. Kid has alligator blood. If you know that movie, leave it in the comments.
So I think from a developer perspective, I think that maybe you need to have that conversation as much as it hurts. I mean, I think I just came to that conclusion on my own, and after I did it, people were like, "Yeah, I could see that." It was nice, and it was I had been a contributor there for a long time. It just wasn't meant to be anymore. So.
I think it's super powerful when a team can kind of grab a person, pull them aside and say, hey, look, you're not one of us right now, right? You're distracted. You're disconnected. You're not here. What do we need to do to get you back in? Or how do we send you on your way in the most peaceful, respectful way possible? Mm-hmm. I mean, that kind of openness, that kind of courage, that kind of respect, I think that's huge. Those Scrum values are certainly going to come into play when you're working through this. But when their presence is more of a net negative than a net positive, it's probably time to start having that conversation, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think this can happen for a multitude of reasons inside organizations, right? Maybe the growth of a team, maybe the change in direction of your product and what you're building. Could be that you temporarily needed some help in a specific space and no longer need that help. I'm just trying to kind of set the stage for how it might happen.
Maybe you've restructured the way you work, mm-hmm. and it's just the way that you participate in the past doesn't work in the future. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All that stuff, team working agreements shift and change on you, and suddenly I can no longer be helpful. That's happened to me before too, where it's just been time to exit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when does a developer take this stage? I hope that developers are working with each other so regularly and so frequently that this is more of like a conversation like what I mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. It's hey, we're out of balance here. We either need to get in balance or figure out a new setup. Now, from a Scrum Master perspective, Todd, I'm sure we've seen this. I know we've seen this before. We talk about it in our classes quite a bit. When is it time for a Scrum Master to step in and say, nope, we're not doing this anymore. Something needs to change.
I think when it becomes an utter distraction, I think that, at least from my opinion, I think that you kind of let the team try to resolve it on their own until you start seeing it spiral out of control. And then you have to step in before that happens. not like after it spirals out of control, but I think you need to step in before that really kind of takes shape and goes off into you start climbing the pyramid of conflict until it just becomes an unresolvable thing. So I think that probably sooner rather than later, but I also think that you have to afford the opportunity and maybe coach some developers on doing it on their own as well, right? There is a money thing going on here with the product owner. They're spending money. So,
well, I mean, and of course, like you're partnering with management, you're partnering with HR. Scrum Master doesn't have the unilateral decision-making ability that we're talking about. But after you exhaust all of the coaching, you exhaust all of the facilitation, you exhaust HR and management paths, eventually it's time to kind of tear off the Band-Aid and get the person out of there. And of course, it's the last lever you pull. And some people are going to be yelling at us in the comments, a Scrum Master doesn't have that right. Yeah, they do. They can uphold Scrum and they have the right to protect the team.
Yeah.
So argue with us all you want. The Scrum Master working through a long series of progressions of coaching, facilitation, training, partnering with management, partnering with leadership, partnering with HR. They can, in fact, do this. And, when that person has just become more of a net negative than a net positive, it's incumbent on them, especially if the development is inhibited, or if the developers themselves are simply not able or mature enough yet to have that conversation that we talked about in the first part of this episode, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I think this goes to be said that like, if there's like conflict and that kind of stuff is happening sooner rather than later, like you need to step in and say something. So I think there's just so many reasons why this could happen. That I think we're talking in broad terms, but I think that we can also narrow those terms too, depending on a context, right?
I'll tell you what, this situation is where some of the biggest regrets I can think of in my Scrum Master career have come from. I didn't step in soon enough. I didn't bring this issue to light cleanly enough, and it led to some really bad things. It's led to people getting fired. It's led to people getting injured. This is probably a big source of regret that I have if I were to think in those terms throughout my Scrum Master career.
Yeah. I think I have had one or two of those times too.
Yeah. What do you all think? Yeah. So I think we've hit this one enough. When is it time to pull the plug? Hey, maybe we'll even talk about this in the community, Todd. Maybe we'll pop this up as a video and have that discussion.
Could be a situation.
Could be. All right, everybody. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Again, like and subscribe. You don't want to miss any videos. You want to check out the Scrum 101 playlist. It's linked in the video description. Learn Scrum, get your certs, go conquer the world. Check out our socials, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We're pretty active out there as well. The description has our book, classes, all sorts of fun stuff. Some videos are going to pop up. The algorithm thinks you'll like them. We do too. For Todd Miller, I'm Ryan Ripley. Go forward, do some great Scrum things. Don't be afraid to work with people when relationships are strained, when people are being a net negative. When you know that conflict is ratcheting up, get in there, de-escalate, help people sort out what's going on. Otherwise, you might end up with some regrets that take a while to go away. But in any case, let us know your stories. We'd love to hear them too. And we'll be back with some more stories of our own tomorrow. We'll see you then.